very blessed day, everyone. Greetings to you in the name of the Father, the Creator, the Most High, Allah, Yah, Yod-Heh-Vah-Heh, Elohim, God in our modern day, and in the name of the Lord Thoth, Melchizedek, Jehovah. This is Neophyte DAG bringing you another message, and this is King George I of England, Ireland, Scotland, Wales, Germany, and the original indigenous people of Western Europe were black. Were black. And to start this message off, we always go to Job 9 verse 24, but we're going to introduce another term and another word with Job 9 verse 24. Academic fraud, which is what Job 9 verse 24 is going to be telling you. The hands of the wicked have gotten hold of your record and have been making changes over a number of years, but the changes have come to a stop, and the people whose record, whose information was lost, is now being found. So the judges, the prophets, the rulers, the leaders are getting back their information. Their faces are being uncovered, under which was hidden by the academic fraud, which involved deliberate effort to deceive, include plagiarism, taking your work, claiming it's their work, fabrication of data to prove that you weren't there when you were actually there, misrepresentation of historical sources, tampering with evidence to show that you were there, saying that you were not there when you were there, and suppression of unwanted data, unwanted information, which puts you there. So this is where the theft of identity, the theft of information comes to a stop, because the Most High is turning us back to the people that he wants us to be. The scattering is done. Testament of Asher 7 verse 6. For this reason I will scatter you, my people. Oh, I will scatter you. You shall not know your own land. You shall not know what tribe you belong to. You shall not know what language you used to speak. That's done. Most High and the Lord is setting us free again. So in this message, we're going to explore Testament of Asher 7 verse 6. The rest of this, we'll revisit it later, but you can pause the message and read if you want. Academic fraud goes hand in hand with menticide. What is menticide? A systematic and intentional undermining of a person's conscious mind. Telling you you weren't there when you were there. Telling you you're nothing when you're something. Telling you you came from nowhere and you were kings and queens. Telling you you had no history until slavery started, when your history was vast, full of richness, full of endeavors that shows that you were in charge of the planet at one particular point in time. You were scattered, and now the gathering has started again. Proverbs 21 verse 16, the man that wandereth out of the way of understanding shall remain dead. Can you add flesh to these dry bones, Ezekiel? Can you add flesh to it? 2 Ezra 10 verse 30, and I lay as one dead. Mine understanding was taken away from me, and I was subject to academic fraud and menticide. King George I of the Hanover line of German kings. He became King of England, Ireland, Scotland, and Wales, 1714 to 1727. King George I, Hanover line of Germany, Elector of Hanover, Germany, 1698 to 1727. Who was King George I? He was born in Germany of the Hanover line of family. He was, and he is, and he was the great-grandson of King James I, King James VI of Scotland. We already covered and have established that King James was a black man. He ascended to the throne to prevent the British Empire, the British Kingdom, from turning over to Roman Catholics. They wanted a Protestant king, and they brought him in and got rid of the King James line that wanted to move to be Roman Catholic. He's the great-grandson of King James, as I've told you. He's a black man just like King James. His mother is the granddaughter of King James I. Her name was Sophia of Palatine. Remember that word, Palatine. Remember that word, Palatine. He divorced his wife, Sophia Dorothea of Celle. She was German as well, of French ancestry. She was a French Huguenot. That's what her lineage came from. He divorced her. She had an affair. He divorced her, locked her up for almost 30 years or something like that. Locked her up for a whole lot of years. Have herself imprisoned for a whole lot of years because she cheated on him. This is the line of the George family, the Hanover line that became kings and queens over England, Ireland, Scotland, and Wales. They started from Germany. Contrary to what you've heard under academic fraud, Germans are not originally white. They are not originally Caucasian people. No, they are not. All the lines of the George came from dark-skinned people all the way until we get to the 1800s. Mid to 1800s, that's when it started to change to Caucasian. But they were all dark-skinned people, kings and queens of England, Ireland, Scotland, Wales, and Germany. So let's go into King George. George Louis, he became the king of Great Britain. That's who he was. From the early days, his marriage to Sophia Dorothea was a disaster. His mother and Sophia Dorothea's father set up the marriage. He and Sophia Dorothea, they are first cousins. It's scheduled for failure once they met each other. They just did not get along. George Louis and his mother, Sophia of the Palatines, that was her title, Princess Sophia of the Palatine. Princess Sophia of the Palatine. Who were these Palatines? We'll get to that. The first book, The Captive Princess, Sophia Dorothea of Celle, by Paul Morand, page 8 of that book. Princess Sophia, daughter of a Palatine king, granddaughter on her mother's side to King James I. Princess Sophia, daughter of a Palatine king. The Sophia they're talking about is King James' granddaughter. Granddaughter of King James I. So she became a Palatine princess. Who are these Palatines? You hear words, they fly over our head during our menticide phase. But no, we're not going to let them fly over our head. This time, we're going to go to observation concerning the increase of mankind, peopling of countries by who? Who wrote that book? Who wrote that paper? Who wrote it? Benjamin Franklin. So Benjamin Franklin left you breadcrumbs as to who these Palatines are. Why should Palatine Boers be suffered to swarm into United States of America? Why should we let all these Palatine Boers come in? He asked. They're Germans, he said. Why didn't he want them to come in? Why didn't Benjamin Franklin want the Palatine Boers to come in? Because they will never acquire our complexion. So we're in a pickle right now. If Benjamin Franklin were a Caucasian, if he's saying the Palatines couldn't bear his complexion, if he's saying the Palatines couldn't acquire his complexion, then there must be something other than Caucasian. Unless you want to say Benjamin Franklin now was a dark-skinned person and he was saying the Palatines, which were Caucasian, couldn't become dark-skinned. No, that's not what he's saying. No, that's not what he was saying. He's saying they cannot get a Caucasian complexion. So if they couldn't get a Caucasian complexion, they have to be of another complexion. Let's hear what he had to say about that other complexion. The number of purely Caucasian people in the world is proportionately very small. All of Africa is black or brown skin. And in Europe, the Spaniards, Italian, French, Russians, Swedes are generally what we call swarthy. For your convenience, on the right-hand side, there is the definition of swarthy from Webster 1828 dictionary. Dusky, tawny, of a dark complexion. That's a swarthy person. A dark complexion, like the Moors, like the Spaniards and the Italians, are more swarthy than the French and the Germans and the Englanders. They're all dark-skinned people, being of a dark hue, of a husky complexion, of a dark complexion, in a warm climate complexion. That's a swarthy person. Spaniards, Italians, French, Russians, Swedes, and what did he say about the Germans below? We call them swarthy complexion, same as are the Germans also. So he's telling you the entire Western Europe are dark-skinned people. No mistake. The Palatines, which are Germans, are dark-skinned people. Don't believe? Let's move in some more and get rid of the academic fraud and the menticide that have been holding us in intellectual bondage. Let's move forward. Riddles of Prehistoric Times by James H. Anderson. Page 126 of that book. Page 126 of that book. Page 126 of that book. The inhabitants of these islands were short, dark men of Iberian race, like the Bushmen of South America. He's talking about Lemuria, which sank and is coming back up in our time. They, that same Iberian race, it was who were the first and original, the first indigenous and original inhabitants of Northern Africa, Southern and Western Europe, and Southern Asia, until they were what? Supplanted, replaced by a fair Caucasian complexion race. Let me read it for you again in case you didn't hear it. They were the first and original, the indigenous and original inhabitants of Southern and Western Europe, Southern Asia. They were supplanted, removed, replaced by the Caucasian race. Still not convinced? The German and the Agricola of Tacitus. Item 11 in that. Who were the first inhabitants of Britain? Who were the first inhabitants of Britain that derived from the German? This ruddy hair and large-limbed Caledonians point out of a German derision. Who were the first inhabitants? Swarthy complexion and curled hair of Britain. Spain was of that same ancient Iberians. They possessed that territory. And Gaul, the people in Gaul, resemble the inhabitants of Britain and Spain. Dark-skinned, curly-haired people. Who are these people from Gaul? Who are these people from Gaul? Here's the Gaul. Here's what the Gaul looked like. Gaul was invaded after 120 BC and were again defeated by the Romans in 103 BC. That's where Tacitus comes in. He was traveling with the Romans and giving an account of what they were seeing. The first time Caucasian stepping foot in Western Europe, they were seeing who? Who were they seeing? Dark-skinned, swarthy complexion people with curled hair. That's who they were seeing in the Gaul. Gaul divided in 5 parts by the Roman once they crossed over all the way to Britannia. That's the Gaul. Western Europe. Dark-skinned people they were seeing in the Gaul. Dark-skinned people, they were seen in the Gaul. Britannia, Western Europe, Spain, Portugal, dark-skinned people, they were seen in the Gaul. Still not convinced? Ancient and Modern Day Britain, a retrospective. Volume 1, page 46 of that book. Volume 1, page 46 of that book. Claudius, during the time of the Roman invasion of Gaul and the Britannia, this is what he was reporting as what he saw. He saw blackamoors running all over the Gaul. He saw blackamoors running all over the Gaul. And he said, we subdued those nimble blackamoor. We subdued those nimble blackamoors that were the British pick. Like the other lands stand out with what? Dark-skinned men. What other land? Gaul. That's what he's talking about. Blackamoors. Would you make that mistake and call Caucasian blackamoor when what did he say black mean? Signifying they were black or brown-skinned man. That's who the blackamoors that were in Western Europe, in Britannia. Still not done as yet. Still not done. Our remote ancestry by Alexander Winchell. We go to page 246 of that book. Page 247 of that book as well. Indo-Europeans, who are those? The Caucasian people. That's the name given to them. To these guys who they truly are. Indo-Caucasian Europeans are known to have been in Europe when? As early as 2000 BC. They just started being there. They just arrived. They didn't get a footing until later on in 1850s. Before the Indo-Europeans arrived in the year 2000 BC, who was there? Alexander Winchell tells you 2 empires existed. One had been established by who? The Iberians. Same Iberians. And the Pelagians. The Pelagians were on the Eastern Europe side. The Iberians were on the Western Europe side. The Iberians entered by the Pillar of Hercules. They came from where? Atlantis and Northern Africa. They came from where? Atlantis and Northern Africa. Where? Atlantis and Northern Africa. They overran the Spanish Peninsula, Spain and Portugal. They took over that and founded cities and built navy and carried on commerce, extended their empire. The countries that were later known as what? Gaul, Western Europe, and where else? Great Britain, England, Ireland, Scotland, and Wales, and where else? Italy. They were the ones who founded Rome before it got overran by the Indo-Europeans, or Caucasian Europeans. So you were there, my people. How many receipts have I given you showing you were there? Now, we go back to Riddle of Prehistoric Time, page 57 of that book. The Iberians in ancient times inhabited where? Western and southern parts of Europe. Western and southern parts of Europe, as well as the northern parts of Africa, which is where Egypt is located. That's why I'm telling you, the middle of the planet was originally yours. The Shemites, the middle of the planet was yours under the allocation in Jubilees chapter 8, given to you, allocated to you by the Lord Thoth, Melchizedek Jehovah. Which people were in the middle of Europe, the Western and the Southern Europeans, the Basque in Spain and France, the dark Welshmen over in the islands of Britannia, the black Celts that were in Ireland, England, and France, the same as Britannia, the Celts were there as well. Aquitaine in France, Ganches in the Canary Islands, they're all there, dark-skinned people. Make no mistake, you were there, my people, you were there in Europe. This is where you occupied in Europe during the time when the Romans came and changed the name into Gaul up until the late 1800s. This was yours. This is yours. Make no mistake, You were there. You were there. You're still there in small numbers. Most of you have been scattered out to the four corners of the earth. The earth is America. Ancient and modern day Britons, I'm going to give you as much as you need to get to know that you were there. The people known as the Iberian spread all over the British Isle. They spread all over the British Isle. Physically, they were what? What were they physically? Swarthy of color, dark-skinned complexion people with curly hair, same as the other books have been telling us. And they had long beards like goats. They had long beard to show that they were of a celestial nature. They, or some of the clans of them, worship God, the Most High, Allah, Yah, Yod-Heh-Vah-Weh, Elohim, and the Lord Thoth, and profess knowledge of the future, not profess. They had knowledge of the future because they were Druids and Druidesses who had colleges in the island of Britannia, near the coast of Britannia, where they taught the rest of the Hebrew nations that wanted to know the way and the laws and the knowledge of the Most High Allah, Yah, Yod-Heh-Vah-Weh, Elohim, and the Lord Thoth, Melchizedek, Jehovah. They had knowledge of the future, which is what you're moving back to, my people, which is what you're moving back to. Who were these people? What were their color? Dark-skinned, curly hair Iberians. That's who were in the British Isle. That's who were in Western Europe. Iberians styled, dark, curly-haired people, dark Highlanders in Scotland, black Celts in Ireland, black Celts in France, Ethiopian complexion people, black as Ethiopian, that's what they were called. All over Europe it is known. Pliny, a philosopher, characterized them as Ethiopian complexion, black as Ethiopian. That's how he described them. You were there, my people, you were there. You were there. Gaul. This is what you'll find when you look in Wikipedia. Gaul. It's telling you Western Europe, first described by the Romans. It inhabited Celtic tribe. They didn't tell you what Celtic is. That's where the academic fraud comes in, because you have to go dig and research who are the Celts. That's why I have the Celts right next to it. Ancient and Modern Day Britons, a retrospect, volume 1, page 45, tells you what the complexion of the Celts was. Black Celts. So they didn't tell you that it's dark-skinned people. You just see Celts. And in your mind, you're thinking it's a Caucasian person because all you're seeing now in Europe are Caucasian. No! Dark-skinned people. When you go into the research to find knowledge, study to show yourself approved unto the words of the Most High, because a workman and a workwoman need not be ashamed to exercise the knowledge that the Most High gave them to find truths. Europe in modern day, which were and was occupied by the dark-skinned tribes, which is now in present day France, Luxembourg, Belgium, Switzerland, Northern Italy, Netherlands, and Germany, where the Georgia line of families from. This is what the modern day Gaul looks like, that was occupied by dark-skinned, melanated people, most of them of the Hebrew tribes. So when you see this area and you see it's being colorized as Caucasian, no, it is not. That's not the original face of Western Europe, nor Eastern Europe. No, but you have to dig in to find history relating to who was originally there. Because now what you're being taught in school is academic fraud and menticide. Let's move on to King George. The Captive Princess, Sophia Dorothea of Celle by Paul Morand, page 25, page 26 of that book. George Louis, seek the hands of English Princess Anne, who was his cousin. There were two Hanoverian cousins. There were two Stuart cousins. That's who they were, cousin. Queen Anne of England, King George I of England were cousins. They wanted to arrange them to be married to solidify the throne. But George was dismissed by Princess Anne. She dismissed him. The great-grandson of King James I of England, the Stuart line, that was George I. So he's not someone who's strange to the English throne. It's the same people going into different countries and marrying for political and rulership alliance over Western Europe. Let's move to George I, Elector and King. Ragnhild Hatton, page 172 of that book. George's skin is sunburned. Lie. That's just deceptive way of putting it. The man was black. He was a dark man. No sunburn. He was so dark. He went on to tell you, in his mother's own words, he could pass as a Spaniard. What did we say it was in Spain? What did we say it was in Spain? Dark-skinned people. So the man wasn't sunburned. He was a black man. The love of an uncrowned queen. Sophia Dorothea, consort to George I by W.H. Wilkins, page 39. George, he said, he was what? He was what? He was dark. Was a dark-skinned man. Gentleman of Germany, George Louis, he was a dark man. The life of Sophia Dorothea. She was the only surviving daughter of a German duke and a French mother. Her mother was a Huguenot and she became a Huguenot. It's a word that we see all over the United States now. Huguenot Beach, Huguenot Town in upstate New York, Huguenot Village in the French quarters, all kind of Huguenots. But we don't know what it is and who they are. No, we don't know. We know. First we didn't know, but now we know. Mr. Rutledge of South Carolina by Richard Barry, page 38 of that book. Page 38 of that book. A swarthy, well-knit man, below medium size, clearly a Huguenot. Clearly a Huguenot. A swarthy man, a dark-skinned man. Clearly a Huguenot. That's who a Huguenot is. A dark-skinned, swarthy person. Not no Caucasian person as you've been led to believe during the time of academic fraud and menticide. No, it's a swarthy, dark-skinned person, a black person in our modern day classification for them. We go back to the same book, The Love of an Uncrowned Queen, Sophia Dorothea, page 54 of that book. Sophia Dorothea, she was what? A brunette. Not talking about her hair. Don't slip up with the academic cunningness that's going on. Letting you think it's a hair color. No, it's not, because they described her hair later on with dark brown, almost black hair. So it's not her hair that's brunette. In historical documents, a black woman, a dark-skinned woman is called a brunette. A black man is called ruddy. We'll cover ruddy in another message, but we'll stay with brunette for now. On the right-hand side, I have brunette for your convenience. Brunette, which is a German word, brun, German, which means what? Brown or black woman. She's a brunette. Dark complexion woman. That's who she was. Sophia Dorothea. That's who she was. A French woman, dark skin, just like how they said Huguenots are dark skinned people. She was a Huguenot and she's dark skinned, as what is being corroborated by this source that you are getting from W.H. Wilkins. Sophia Dorothea was a black woman, a dark complexion woman. But we're not done. We're not done. Sophia Dorothea again by Paul Moran. We go back to that book. Chapter 12. George II. George II. Just a spoiler alert. George II. Sophia Dorothea's son that she had with George I had her complexion. So George II is a black man too. Same people, same color. Dark-skinned people. Same book, page 249. George I, he had his own mistress after he found out Sophie Dorothea had an affair. He had his own mistress. And she was what color? What was his mistress? Maria Garreta Brett. What was her color? She was very dark. Rather Spaniard looking. She was a black woman, very black. So George, a black man, with a black woman, his wife, with a black woman, his mistress. No mistake as to who these people are talking about. They're dark-skinned people. Conclusion. King George I of the Hanover and Stuart line of family of England, Ireland, Scotland, Wales, Germany was black. King George's mother, Sophia Hanover Stuart of the Palatine, was black. King George's wife, Sophia Dorothea of Celle, a French Huguenot, was black. The original indigenous inhabitants of Western Europe, the Gaul, were Iberians, were dark-skinned, and were black in our modern day classification for dark-skinned people. Spoiler alert! King George II, which we already hurdled over. King George III, which was the king at the time of the American Revolution, battling against George Washington. Two black men fighting for sovereignty over the planet were black. George IV was black. King William IV was black. All people of color. Make no mistake. Which brings me to a tapestry that is in the Museum of Fine Arts. It's in Boston Museum. It depicts what Germany looked like at about 1440. This was the depiction. It's a castle being raided, being sacked by what they describe as wild men. Who do those wild men look like? What complexion do they have? That's the classification for them. I didn't put that in there. Wild men. Medieval tapestry of Wartburg Castle of wild men and Moors in Germany about 1440. Who is in the castle? I ask you. Who is in the castle? I ask you, who is defending the castle? Who is wearing the crown on his head? Who's wearing the crown on her head? And who's the wild man? Bare feet, looking hairy. Bare feet, looking hairy, attacking the castle. Who is defending the castle? Fully clothed, fully clothed. And who is the wild man? This is indicative of what was going on in Europe at that time. Because as they have told you, the Indo-Europeans or Caucasian did not come to Europe until 2000 BC. They didn't come and everything set up and waiting for them. They came as nomads. It took them a while before they get a foothold. They don't just come in and kings and queens immediately. No, that's what the MENTICIDE taught us. No, that's what the academic fraud taught us. They were wild men and wild women sacking castles. This is the depiction that was rendered in 1440. Showing and giving an historical documentation of what was going on in Germany. Dark-skinned people, various dark complexion people in the castles, the kings and the queens, and the swordsmen, the defenders of the castle, and the castle being attacked by wild men, which were hairy men, Caucasian men that were regarded as wild people at that time. Let's move on. So we go back to Palatine Boers. This confirmed exactly what Benjamin Franklin was griping about in his paper, Observation Concerning the Increase of Mankind Peopling of Country. He was frustrated with how the Germans in high numbers, dark-skinned people coming into America. Also, he was giving an account that there was small amount of wild men, wild women, Caucasian men, Caucasian women, Indo-European men, Indo-European women in America. And that all the other countries of Europe, with the exception of some of the Saxon that were in England and some that were in Germany, were the only Caucasian. Small number. He was right. The numbers were small. And he's telling you the entire Europe was of a dark skin complexion. So yes, he was right. But then the academic frauds kicked in during the 1920s and changed all the record to show something else and assumed all the things that you were doing, they made it theirs and put themselves in it. And your identity was stripped away because you're thinking these were white people doing it, but it's not white in complexion. It's white in classification because these same Europeans, these dark-skinned Europeans, came to North America and created a class structure. If you're from Europe, you are classified as white. Whether you're dark-skinned European or Caucasian-skinned Europeans, you were white. And if you were native, indigenous to North America, you were black. If you came from Western Africa coastline of Guinea, because you were expelled from Spain, from Portugal as part of the Roman Catholic purge of Spain and Portugal, and then you were sold into slavery in North America, you became black as well. You weren't regarded as from Europe, even though Europe was your original place, because you were shipped to the Guinea coast. You now lose that white status and became black. Let's proof out some of what I'm telling you. Let's proof it out. John Thomas McCormack, description, color, white. The complexion, dark. Where is he from? Ireland. David Stewart MacDonald, where is he from? Scotland. Color, white, dark complexion. Social status, white. Real complexion, dark, from Scotland. Let's move on. Herman Robert Rudolph, where is he from? Germany. Color, white. Complexion, dark. A dark-skinned person from Germany. Let's move over to the right. He's from Austria. Color, white. Complexion, dark. Let's move on. Where is he from? Belgium. Color, white. Complexion, dark. On the right, social status, white. Complexion, dark. From Netherlands. Social status, white. Complexion, dark. From Russia. On the right-hand side, Charles Cohen. He's from Russia. Complexion, dark. Social status, white. Because again, they're from Europe, so they automatically get the social status white. All of this was occurring up until 1924. After 1924, dark-skinned complexion people were reclassified as black. Whether you're from Europe or you are from North America. Let's move on. white social status, dark complexion, Jake Solomon from Hungary. On the right-hand side, August Young, dark complexion, color white, social status white. Where is he from? Sweden. Philippe here, social status white, complexion dark. He's from Italy. On the right-hand side, Lermin Morella, description white, complexion dark. Where is he from? Where is he from? Puerto Rico. Because he could trace his ancestry back to Europe. So even though he was born in the Caribbean, he's still considered white social status, even though he had a dark complexion. That's what I've been trying to tell you all along. Do you think that they didn't know what these people's complexion were? Do you think someone didn't know what these people's complexion were and whether or not they were Caucasian or not? We go to these comparisons right now. Two people from Russia. Social status the same. White color social status. Complexion, one is fair, one is dark. So they were making distinction on the forms as to who was dark and who was Caucasian. They weren't making mistake. And we kind of slipped and it's an accident. We accidentally put dark or we accidentally put fair. No, they were looking at the people and deciding and making the decision that they were dark or fair-skinned. Fair-skinned again from Sweden with a dark-skinned person from Sweden. Both social status white. So they were making clear distinction who was dark complexion people, who were Caucasian complexion people, who were dark complexion people, who were fair-skinned complexion people. Let's move on from Czechoslovakia. This is a medium complexion person. Same white social status, but medium complexion. On the right-hand side again, another white social status, medium complexion from Austria. Again, dark-skinned people from Austria, medium complexion. And I gave you the medium with the picture on it so you can see what a medium complexion person look like. That's why I left the picture on the form, to let you know that medium looked like a Caucasian complexion person. So when we get to dark skin versus medium, you know someone consciously put on the form that they were dark skin and they're not medium. These two are both from Austria. Same status, white status. One is medium, one is dark. The distinction clearly made. Let's move on. Two people from Sweden. Social status white. One is now a different complexion, light. Pictures on it to let you know what light looks like, what they were considering light. Now we go to this. Two immigration forms of people from Russia. One light complexion, one dark complexion. Both of them social status white. So whoever is looking at these forms are making a determination what complexion the person is. Dark and light, dark and medium, dark or fair. It's giving a distinction, a clear distinction as to what the person complexion is. Clearly tells you who these people are, which brings us to Testament of Asher 7, verse 2 to verse 6. Which tells us, you will sin. And because of this, you shall be delivered into the hands of your enemies. And you shall be made desolate and gloomy, and your entire land will be polluted by those who have taken over your land, because you will be scattered on your own land in all four corners of your own land. Those are the ones in United States of America, North America, and you shall be joined by the other two groups, the one from Europe, Western Europe, and the ones that were expelled from Spain and Portugal during the time of the Roman Catholic cleansing. All three of you shall be scattered in all corners of America, which is earth, and you all shall be regarded as worthless until such time where the Most High visits the earth, which is America, through a man that is currently walking on the earth with you, a man that he's going to send, the Messiah, Prince Louis, who shall be eating and drinking with the human beings. But he is not human. He's a man. He doesn't need a prefix before man, nor a suffix after man. He's a man. We'll get to these humans in a few minutes. But this man shall crush the head of Dagon, which is the anagram for dragon, which is the anagram for Lucifer. That's who he'll crush. What time will he crush that head? In the time of the water. Go ye into the city, and you shall see a man bearing a pitcher of water. Follow him to the open room. Follow him to the room upstairs, already prepared for you, without hands. That's your Passover, from one state of consciousness to another state of consciousness. What is that room in the upper room, built without hands? That's your brain, your pineal, and your crown. That's the room that you want to open up and let the water pour in, because the water from this man with the pitcher, it shall rain down on you, and you shall be exalted, because the water is numerous. And this man, Messiah, Prince Louis, will save the children of Israel. Israel is a code name for Louis. So he'll save all the children who have attached themselves to the word of the Messiah, given to him by the Lord Thoth, Melchizedek, Jehovah. And all nations shall fall under the teaching of this man. But until that time occur, you shall be subject to academic fraud and menticide, because I know you will be completely disobedient and you will thoroughly be irreligious. You won't follow the rules of the Most High. You're gonna follow human commandment. Who is human? He keeps appearing and popping up. Who is this human that's giving you commandment that's going to corrupt you with evil? We'll cover human in a minute, but human law have caused you to be scattered. You have caused yourself to be scattered because you did not want to cleave on to the Most High's law. 5 divine laws, 7 principles of Thoth, 2 statutes, and all of them shall be practiced with love. Love for your fellow man and woman as you would love yourself. Do unto your fellow man and woman that which you would want them to do unto you. That's the commandment. Those are the commandments that's going to keep you out of academic fraud. But we're moving on. Menticide goes hand in hand with academic fraud. Menticide, I say, go hand in hand with academic fraud. Systematic and intentional undermining of your conscious mind. But they cannot affect your subconscious mind, which is in that upper room to the right. Cast your net to the right side of the ship. Cast your spiritual consciousness to the right side of your head. Cast your spiritual consciousness to the right side of your temple. Cast your spiritual consciousness to the right side of your kingdom, and ye shall find. And ye shall find. What shall you find? John 21 verse 11 tells you what you shall find. And when Simon Peter went up and drew the net, and drew up the spiritual consciousness, the akasa, the etheric energy, and it's full of what? It's full of cosmic consciousness. And he was able to pull up 153 fishes. 153 fishes. 1 plus 5 plus 3 equal 9. The amount of dimension you shall be gaining access to when you cast your net to the right. That's the dimension of the Most High. He gives you from 3 through 9, and that's what you will draw in when you cast your net to the right side of your head. It will give you that connection back to the Most High. Don't you know the kingdom of God? Don't you know the kingdom of the Most High is within you? Cast your net to the right-hand side of your head, and you shall draw in and gain that connection back to your spiritual self, as told to you by the man with the pitcher of water, as given to you by King Solomon when he's building that house without bricks and hammer and nail. No sound was coming from all that construction he was doing in that house, and he made a right turn. That's your subconscious mind that he made that right turn to. Let's move on. The 3 groups that were scattered in America, North America. First group, the Hebrew indigenous Iberians, people of color in Spain and Portugal that were expelled and banished to the West African coast of the Guinea, Sao Tome, Principe, Malabo, Cape Verde, Canary Islands, and then they were sold and transported as slaves into North America, Central America, South America, and the Caribbean. But they came to North America when the English colonizers came to Virginia and started the colony. They bought slaves from the Guinea coast. That's where your slave come from. They're not from the landmass of Africa. They were on the coast, marooned by the Portuguese and the Spaniards. The second group, the Hebrew indigenous people in Western Europe that we spent the last 45 minutes talking about, that you were in Europe. You were there. You were in Europe. You were there. You migrated to North America for a better life, and you came as an indentured servant / slave, but you came anyway. The second bunch who was declared rebels because they were in religious conflict between Protestant and Catholic. Anyone who's on the wrong side of the conflict got expelled and banished to North America and the Caribbean as slaves, indentured slaves. Slaves, indentured slaves. That's the second batch. Let's move to the third one. The most important one. The third one. The people of color, the Hebrew indigenous, the Indians that were living already in North America, Central America, South America, the Caribbean, put into slavery on their own land. That's the third group. Sold and shipped across all parts of the Caribbean, because at that time, if you were shipped by ocean or by cargo, you are a slave for life. That's the third group that's being redeemed. The second group, the first group as well. But the main groups are the ones that were here in North America already, because it was promised unto their forefathers that they shall inherit the land which is in America, starting all the way up by Washington, D.C., coming all the way down to the Florida coast, moving westward to the Mississippi River. That's the land of promise, the land of Goshen. That was promised unto them. And don't you think that promise is going to be fulfilled? Let's move on. Scattered because of disobedience. That's what I've been telling you. You were scattered before because of disobedience. You were thoroughly disobedient, thoroughly irreligious, thoroughly not heeding to the laws, thoroughly following human commands and corrupting yourselves. But these human won't go unnoticed anymore. I shall bring them to your attention. Let's lift the veil off the human. Leviticus 18 verse 22 tells you about the human. Who are they? Webster Dictionary 1828 tells you about the human belonging to man or mankind. We already know who man is. Genesis 1 verse 27. Man was created in the image of the Most High. Allah, Yah, Yod-Heh-Vah-Heh. Elohim, woman was also created in the image of the Most High. Where did mankind come from? Where did human come from? Who made that split? The Most High didn't give you any split between human and mankind, or man and mankind. Mankind profane, mankind not sacred, mankind not divine. All of which you are not. Mankind is the hybrid. Mankind are the clones. Mankind are the reptiles. Oh, you want to know about them? Thou shalt not lay down with mankind. As with womankind, it's abomination. It's a wicked and pollution of you. That's why you became corrupted with evil. We have been defiling ourselves with mankind, and we don't know that the Bible has been warning us about the mankind, the human commandments that is going to corrupt us. We're not done with human. We're not done with them. 1 Corinthians 6 verse 9. Know you not, O children of Israel, children of Judah, children of Jacob, that the unrighteous human and mankind shall not inherit the kingdom of the Most High, because the Most High didn't put the kingdom in them. He put it in you. Genesis 1 verse 27. He created you in his own image, in his own similitude. Wisdom of Solomon talks about it as well. The Most High created you a like copy of himself. In you, the Spirit is in you. Look not over there or nor over there, because the kingdom and the temple of the Most High is within you, O man. It's not in human or mankind. Be not deceived, O children of Israel. Be not deceived, O children of Judah. Be not deceived, O children of Jacob. No, don't be fornicators as the human tell you to do. Don't be fornicators as mankind tell you to do. Throw away those idols the mankind gave you. Throw away that white Jesus statue the mankind gave you. Nor be adulterous. Stay with your one partner and be committed. Give up all that's running around with different women. Give it up. That's a mankind way. Nor be effeminate. Give up that femininity, even though you're masculine. Nor be abusers or torturer of yourself or of others. Who gave you those things? Who gave you those things? Who have you been doing those things with? Mankind. You've been doing it with mankind, which is human. That's why the Most High has been warning you in Testament of Asher 7 verse 5. Stay away from the human commandments. They're giving you all kind of lies. Lies on top of lies. But we're still not done with them. We're going back to Testament of Asher 7. We're going back there because now it's real serious. I don't want your souls and your spirit and your body to perish forever. None of that. We're here to wake you up. The messengers of the Most High and the Lord Thoth are here to wake you up so you don't perish forever. No, we don't want that. For this reason, you were scattered before. You were scattered. You did not know your land, where you're from, what part of the three groups that you fit into. None of that you know. You did not know your language you were speaking at the time. None of that you know. You do not know what tribe you came from. None of that you know, but that's no more knowing that. We're getting back all that knowledge. That's why I'm here in front of you today, because he will gather you again. He will gather you. He will gather you again. He will gather you in faith. Those who believe that he's coming back to gather them, that faith has to be strong enough to know that the Most High and the Lord made an agreement, a contract, a covenant with you, and he's going to fulfill that contract, that covenant, no matter what. So believe in the Lord. Abraham, during the time of his sinfulness, believed in the Lord, and that counted to him as righteousness. It counted to him as righteousness. Believe in the Lord. Those who believe shall inherit their kingdom. Those who believe shall be a part of the righteous seed. Doctrine and Covenant 45 verse 25. They shall be gathered again. They shall be gathered. They shall be gathered again. They shall be gathered. But when? Until the time of the Gentiles have been fulfilled. But this man is here already. He's fulfilling it. The man came and he's fulfilling it. It's being fulfilled as we speak. That man that's going to be crushing the dragon head, he's gotten to work already. So the Gentile time is done. It's done, I'm telling you. No more waiting for Gentile time to be fulfilled, because it has been fulfilled. No more scattering. Let's move to Ezekiel 37:12. Thus saith the Lord, Thoth, Melchizedek, Jehovah, behold my elect, behold my righteous seed, behold my chosen. I shall open your graves and let you out. I shall open your grave and let you out. The spiritual dead will no longer be dead. You'll be alive, you'll be alive. Ezekiel, no more dry bones. I'm going to add flesh on their dry bones. Matthew 27 verse 52, and the graves open up. Who do you think is coming out of the grave? Who do you think is coming out of the grave right now? You, O Israel, your grave is opening up. Your grave is opening up. And the bodies of the saints, the elect, the righteous seed which slept, they arose and wake up, standing bold, as they told you in the wisdom of Solomon. They were standing bold, and those who had them under captivity were surprised. They were surprised. Why are these people suddenly standing up bold, unafraid? No, because Luke 15:24 kicked in. My son, the Shemites, were dead, but now they're alive. They were dead, but now they're alive. Their grave got opened up again. Their grave got opened up, and he was lost. He did not know which of the three groups that he was in. Now the information is coming back, so he can figure out group 1 or 2 or 3. Either group, you're open up to the kingdom of the Most High, because the knowledge has been given back to us. The wisdom and understanding has been given back to us. The Shemites, you shall be merry. And there's nothing any of the mankind, Dagon, dragon, fallen angels can do about it. Nothing. We're moving on. We're moving right along. Romans 11 verse 26 tells you all of Israel. Did it say some or a few? No, all of Israel. Those are the ones who changed their name from Jacob with the Most High and with the messenger, Prince Louis, and they changed their name and made their way and their plan the same as the Most High. They became spiritually awakened. They shall be saved. Isn't it written? Isn't it in the law? Isn't it in the contract that you shall be saved, Israel? Isn't it in your contract? Yes, it is. There shall be one. There shall be one coming out of Zion. Zion. One coming out of Zion, the deliverer, that same man that's coming, and he shall be eating and drinking and walking among man and human, and we don't know he's here, but he's here, my people. Elijah is here, and he shall be crushing the head of the dragon in the time of the water. All that etheric energy is coming to us. He will save. Israel shall be saved. Isn't it saying the same thing? Isn't it saying the same thing? That deliverer is coming. That Prince Louis, son of man, Messiah, Michael, Israel, David, Elijah, Emmanuel, Waster, son of righteousness, Jesus, it's the same name, the same person. Anagram leads you back to Prince Louis. And what shall he do? What shall he do? He shall turn away all that evil mankind has put on you, Jacob. Because Israel will get the message early and make that switch to spiritual awakeness. Jacob is going to be on a slight delay. But Jacob, worry not. You shall change your way, because the Son of Man will turn back your ungodliness that was taught to you in the academic fraud and the menticide by the human and mankind. We're moving along. Zephaniah 3 verse 18. And I will gather you, I will gather you, I will gather them, O Judah. I will gather them, O Israel. Those is sorrowful for what happened to you. Those that's grieved for what happened to you because you became spiritually dead because of your disobedience. You became spiritually dead because of your disobedience, not following the way and the plans and the laws of the Most High. But that's done. The time limit is done. He's waking everybody up now. Your punishment is done. You were a reproach to everyone across the entire planet. Disgrace, discredit, disapprove, denounce, condemned, trodden down. Psalms 83, everyone conglomerate against you and kept you down because they thought you were nothing. And they gave you that heavy load to put on your back. All that oppression, all that affliction, and all that worrying you had to do about bills, whether you can get a loan, whether you can get a car, whether you can get a house, whether you can even get food to put on your table. Now you have to worry about whether or not you need to take vaccine in order to survive, whether or not you need to do all kind of different things mankind and human want you to do. But it's done. That's what I'm here to tell you. It's done. All of that is done. Behold, at time. Behold that thought time that started in the year 2000. Behold, I will do what? What is he going to do at thought time? What is he going to do at thought time? I will undo. All that affliction shall be undone. And I will save her. Thought stopped it. Thought stopped it. I will save Israel. Didn't we come up with that before? Didn't we see it here? You shall be saved. Who you think is directing the deliverer, Prince Louis? Who do you think sent him? The Lord, thought Melchizedek, Jehovah, shall send you a deliverer to save you, O Israel, and to halt all that affliction, that heavy load that you have been bearing along with Jacob. Don't worry, Jacob, we haven't forgotten about you. And gather all of Israel that was driven out of your own land, driven out of Western Europe, driven out of Spain and Portugal. You shall be gathered again. How many times have we seen the word gather? Is it a joke thing? He's going to gather you, but he's not. And he keeps changing his mind. No way. Your gathering is come. And I will get you what? What are you going to get all over this land? What are you going to get in every land as well? I'm going to get you praise and fame in every land, in every continent, in every country. You shall be famed. You shall be praised for who you are. You are the people of the Most High. Allah, Yah, Yod, He, Vahwe, Elohim, a peculiar people. To the Lord, those Melchizedek, Jehovah, and all the places now in this world where you have been put to shame, where you have been laid a reproach, where you've been laid a disgrace, a discredit, a disapproval, a trodden down. They shall see you in your praise and your glory and your fame. No more of that shame. No more. Not done yet, not done yet. Zephaniah 3 verse 20. And at that time again, how many things he's gonna do for us in this time. Listen to me, my people. This is no joke, no gimmicks. I bring you again. I shall open your grave one more time and let you out. When is he gonna do that? Even in the time. What time? 2016 to 2026. During the time of the Zeitgeist. 10 years. 10 is the perfect number. 10 is the number of the decade. 10 it is, not 9. 10 it is, not 11. 10 is the number of steps you need to go back into the heavenly realm. You shall get back to it within those 10 years. Those I will gather you. Those I will gather you. For I will make you a new name. I shall make you that name of Zion. I shall give you that new Jerusalem. J-E-R, USA. That's where your land is going to be in. USA, in the cold Jerusalem. That's where your land is going to be. X mark the spot in the Midwest. Yes, it's going to be yours all the way from DC, coming down to Florida. Extend yourself left, westward to the Mississippi. That's the plan. That's the land, the Goshen. Let's move on. Praise among all the people of where? America. That's why I'm telling you, your new name is Jerusalem. That's your place. It was your place, but you were scattered on it and became a stranger. Now you're going to get back the praise on your land. When he does what? What is he going to turn back? What is he going to turn back? Your captivity that mankind and human have you under, it's going to turn back. Who said it? Did someone else say it? The Lord said it. And how is he going to do it? Is he going to hide and do it and you don't know? No, right before your eyes. No, right before your eyes. So you can know and see that is the Lord, though Melchizedek Jehovah, doing that. And he's also going to do Joshua 24 verse 17 right in front of your eyes so you don't miss it. Right in front of your eyes so you don't miss it. He brought up our ancestors out of old Egypt. Now he's going to do it in New Egypt, which is New Jerusalem. USA, that's where it's going to be. USA, that's where it's going to be. From where you're being held bondage, that's where he's going to gather you out of. And he's going to show you a great sign to show you the gathering is end, to show you the gathering has started. That great sign in front of your eyes. Look up, as he told you, Luke 21 verse 28. Look up to the skies, your sign is going to be there. Look up to the skies, your sign is going to be there. You can't miss it at all. You can't miss it. Romans 11 verse 27. Romans 11 verse 27. All of this is in your contract. All of this that I told you is in your contract. All of it is in your covenant. It's in your agreement. So he can't miss and say, oh, I'm not going to honor the agreement. No, your agreement has to be honored. The Most High and the Lord don't retract on what they have agreed. For it is my covenant, because this is my covenant. For this is my covenant unto them. For this is my covenant unto Israel. For this is my covenant unto Jacob. This is my covenant unto Judah, when I shall take them away from their sins that mankind and human and Lucifer have had them under. No more shall it be. No more shall it be. The Most High and the Lord don't hold things as secret. The Most High and the Lord tells you the ending at the beginning, so you know what's coming your way. It's all that's left up to you, whether you believe, whether your belief is strong enough. The man or woman that believes, that is counted for as righteousness. That puts them into the driver's seat as the righteous seed. All you have to do, believe in the words of the Most High that he's giving you up front, so you know what's coming. If you believe, you make yourself ready in what you're hearing, what you're reading, and what you're understanding. Those are the words of the Most High and the Lord. I am the Lord. Thoth is my name. Stand strong, O Judah. Stand strong, O Israel. Stand strong, O Jacob, in the name of the Most High. Allah, the Creator, Yod-Heh-Vah-Heh, Elohim, God in our modern day, and in the name of the Lord, Thoth, Melchizedek, Jehovah, who has been ordained by the mighty Allah, Most High, to come forward now and raise up Mount Zion in the deliverer, Prince Louis, to make sure that we get delivered as promised in our contract. Praise be to the Most High and the Lord, forever and ever until eternity.